What's going on, my PT peeps and my Walking Dead family? Welcome to the PT channel. I'm One Eye Bry, back to talk about The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 2, and Season 9 as a whole. Obviously, spoiler warning for Season 9, Episode 1 and Episode 2, and the spoilers for later on this season. So if you're worried about spoilers, stop watching now. But we're going to talk about a theory that I think is coming to fruition. It may happen, it may not. It's just a theory, and I think they set things up in a bad way for Rick. But first, if you love The Walking Dead family, and all things Walking Dead, this is the channel for you. If you want to become a valued member of our PT channel, Walking Dead family, hit that subscribe button, and I hope you do. Photo credit and info credit to these fine folks right here. Without them, this would not be possible. And this theory revolves around Justin. Justin was very important in episode 902. We saw him in episode 901. We got to know him a little bit. We found out that he's a pretty terrible person, and he really only cares about himself. There's a problem with him and Daryl, and he did not do his part to redirect the herd. As a result, Aaron lost part of his left arm, his forearm, and his hand, which was pretty awesome, by the way. Even though it's terrible, we're getting more big things happening. And it's only the second episode of Season 9, guys. But let's talk about Justin a little more in depth. And if you rewatch the episode, they focused on him a lot. On the bridge, with Daryl fighting again, talking with Rick at the end of the episode. It was definitely an important character for this episode, and I believe later this season. His absence is going to be a driving force for next episode. He's a friend of Regina, Arat, the saviors that are working around the bridge. And his fight scenes were pretty important for the storyline. Daryl should have basically killed him, and I don't believe Daryl killed him at the end of the episode. We don't know if he actually died. Like I said, on The Talking Dead, in the In Memoriam section, he wasn't mentioned at all. Some people are saying that Angela Kang confirmed it. I haven't seen that yet. But when Rick talks with him, it's pretty interesting. They focus on him and Rick for a while. A good amount of time. Rick talks about stitches, which I believe Rick will get stabbed and he will need stitches if possible. And also, I believe Whispers will use Justin's face to be stitched together and make a walker skin mask. And it was subtle, but the dialogue between Alden and Rick, where Alden says, "None of the guys who walked off made it back home. Some of them had families. One guy had a new kid. No way, they just up and left them." So to me, something happened to that group of saviors that wasn't related to Rick, Daryl, or Father Gabriel, or anybody. But it could be, and it could be a lone killer of Rick's group that's just trying to get everyone on board, and if they're not on the same page, they're going to be killed. But to me, it makes sense that it's the Whispers, and that was a group that Alden mentioned. Also, the group that was supposed to bring the ethanol from the sanctuary to the hilltop could have been killed by the Whispers. So I believe the Whispers had the option or the ability to kill both groups of saviors, and we don't know yet if that's happened or not. But what happened to the saviors? Everybody's been working on the bridge or at Hilltop, and I believe Justin came across the same road that the saviors left the campsite and were going back to the sanctuary, and or the path that the people were coming from the sanctuary to the hilltop with the ethanol. We don't know how far he got. But the fact that Justin was drinking and was probably drunk, it was dark out, and the dialogue that Justin had when he's walking down after he sees the person is very interesting. Someone is watching him clearly. Is it one person, two people? But Justin sees somebody and he has his machete out and he says, "Christ, you damn near got yourself killed. What the hell are you?" And then he gets taken away. He gets kind of pushed away or pulled or dragged or something, but he doesn't get stabbed or killed or shot or anything that we see. So he could still be alive. I would want to see what happens to him all the way through, from the point of this scene to his death, or if we see him again. But he clearly recognizes the person. You can see that he lets his guard down, like, "Oh man, it's you." But we don't see who the person is, and then the camera pans off him, so we don't know if he gets stabbed. We don't hear a gunshot or any noise, and then that's the end of the episode. But let's think who it could be. If it's not Whispers, which I think it is, it could be Daryl, it could be Rick, it could be Father Gabriel, it could be really anybody except the people that were at the campsite that we saw sitting around. It makes too much sense and being obvious that it was Daryl. And if Justin saw Daryl, he wouldn't be like, "Hey, you damn near got yourself killed." He would just swing at him and said, "What do you want?" He would be a lot ruder to him. The people at the campsite, as you can see, most likely couldn't have taken him or killed him or whatever they did to Justin. But you can see a bunch of people there. Also, Rick is walking away from the campsite. So it could be Rick. Rick was there, but again, Justin would not be so cordial with Rick. He would be rude. He would say, "What do you want?" Or maybe even swing his machete at him. Next episode, we're going to see Rick in the woods with his gun pointed at someone. This was taken from the trailer of episode 903. Is he looking at Carol? Is he looking at somebody else? We just don't know, but hopefully we'll find out and we don't have to wait too long. Now, as for Jed, Arat, Laura, Regina, and the other savior, I don't think it's them because in episode 903, they come across Maggie and Cal, and they're pretty pissed and concerned about Justin's absence. Justin just left in the middle of the night, and they don't know what happened to him. Nobody really does, besides the people that took him. And I'm going to do a breakdown of the 903 trailer and sneak peeks later on, so we'll talk more about that scene later. But you see them there with Carol and Ezekiel after Carol gets engaged with Ezekiel. Laura, Jed, or Mud, whatever that guy wants to actually be called. He's like, I'm Mud, and you're the widow in this scene. Again, we'll talk about that in another video. We see Henry, Nabila, and Jerry playing a board game. So again, they were probably just sitting around, not leaving the campsite. And then you see Tara, Eugene, Diane, and Rosita. So who could it be if it's none of these people? It could be Father Gabriel. It could be Anne, but Anne was in the crane when she saw the helicopter. It could be Father Gabriel, who I think was on watch at the time. Remember when Anne and Father G started making out? What do you think of that, by the way? But what if it was Dwight? Dwight hasn't been seen. He's a savior. Justin probably remembers him. We haven't seen Justin last season, but if he was there, Dwight could come back around. We haven't seen him since the season 8 finale, but I think he's connected with the Whispers. I think his connection should come around this season. There's been no knowledge of him filming or Austin Emilio being on set, but it could happen. And if this was filmed on the studio, it's hard to see who actually films at the studio. But I believe Sherry and Dwight have a possible connection with Alpha's infinity sign and the Whispers. And remember, at the end of season 8, Daryl kicks out Dwight, so Dwight could be in the middle of nowhere or around the Whispers or connected with the Whispers. And the key line, Daryl said, if you ever show your face around here again, I'll kill you. So Dwight could come around, but he could be disguised as a Whisper with a Whisperer mask and not showing his face. And now let's talk about how this possibly connects to Rick. Rick's dialogue with Justin is pretty key here. And what if a Whisperer kills Justin and uses his face as a Whisperer mask? It's a newer, fresh mask, so Rick will see Justin in the distance. Justin and Rick came face to face, so Rick will know Justin's face pretty well. And let's say there's a couple walkers and Whispers among the walkers. They're using Justin's face as a walker skin mask. Rick kind of sees something in the distance and was like, what's that guy doing? What is Justin doing here? And maybe it's a herd of this size, probably smaller, but let's just say there's a Whisper using Justin's face as a walker skin mask. Rick goes over to kill the walkers and confront Justin. He swings at the Whisper. The Whisper blocks Rick's axe movement. Rick's freaked out. The Whisper stabs Rick in the side. Rick starts bleeding. Gonna need stitches, kind of foreshadowing in the conversation that they had. And then Rick kills the Whisperer, is freaked out what he just saw. He's looking down at the Justin Walker skin on the Whisperer. He doesn't know what to make of it, but he's bleeding, so he has to limp back towards the bridge or towards help. Enid or Siddiq or somebody there, I would think Enid is there to help Rick. Enid knows how to stitch Rick up. Remember, she was stitching Cindy's hand up, and the big line about stitches won't fix you up that Rick said to Justin, but Enid kind of struggles with the stitches, and she's not that proficient at it just yet. Siddiq is back home in Alexandria, so Enid's the one to kind of help Rick, but she can't do it. There's too much blood loss. There's too deep of a cut, or there's multiple cuts. And then Rick is wounded. He collapses. You can see everybody there, and this is important because you see everybody at the bridge. The bridge is probably completed, and it's done. You see Daryl, Eugene, Diane, Carol, one of the Oceanside girls, Maggie, and Michonne. And why is this important? Because I believe it's around the timeline of episode 905, which would make sense because that's what the rumors and the spoilers are saying. That's Rick's last episode. And I believe the Whispers will kill Rick. I don't think it's going to be friendly fire. I don't think Daryl or Carol or Maggie would kill Rick. That would be the stupidest writing ever. I think the Whispers being introduced in a big epic way is what the show needs for everyone to avenge Rick's death. And the future of the show is set with the Whispers being introduced in an epic way, being the next villain on the block. Rick is gone, but the people that are surviving need to carry on Rick's vision of the future and what he wanted after Rick dies. But what do you think, guys? What do you make of the idea that Justin will be killed and skinned by the Whisperers, and the Whisperers will use his face, and Rick sees that, gets distracted, gets stabbed by the Whisperers, and it's the end of Rick Grimes? What do you make of it? Do you agree? Do you not agree? And again, it's just a theory, but we're getting closer and closer to that big episode at 9:05. Let me know your thoughts. Post your comments below. Like, share, subscribe. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. If you love The Walking Dead, this is the channel for you. And remember, guys, with hard work, dedication, belief, and sacrifice, you can truly achieve your goals. Believe in yourself. You can do it.